Alright, hello there. This is Squire Ender of the Celestial Kingdom coming to you today with a little video on how we can use video of either ourselves or someone else to help us improve our fighting. Um, yeah, so let's go over some tools actually that we can use to our disposal. So first things first, using YouTube, if you go to settings, and playback speed, you can change the speed of the video to help you kind of keep up with some of the stuff that might be going on. If we look at our keyboard, you'll note, come on, there we go. You'll note the standard arrow keys, which either turn the video forward 5 seconds or backwards 5 seconds. And then we have these two little caret keys right here, also known as the comma and the period, I guess. And the leftmost one takes the video back exactly 1 frame, and the right caret moves the video forward 1 frame. So these will help us kind of fine-tune exactly what we're looking at if we're trying to pick up on mechanically confusing shots, or maybe if we just want to slow something down even more. So that's it for the keyboard, and that's basically everything. At that point, it's just using our eyes as best as we can to determine what we're looking at. So today we're looking at some videos from Foam Fight Club. This is a video that, I guess we'll go here, so Foam Fight Club. This is a YouTube channel ran by Ignatius of the Iron Mountains, I believe now. And he's got great content. Please feel free to reach out or to subscribe to his channel because he's got good stuff. And we'll be using a couple of videos of his today to help us break down how we can look at fighting. So I guess we'll get into it. So first things first, I like to start with slowing down the video, either a quarter or halfway. I personally prefer a quarter if the fighters aren't too fast, so that we get along with the video a little quicker. But okay, so let's look at what are some things that we should be looking at when breaking down video. Lucky for us, I made a list. So all these things are extremely important. The last one is kind of what differentiates high-end fighters from not so high-end fighters. But all these things are extremely important in fighting. So obviously stance, posture, I'm assuming y'all can read, I don't have to go over all that. But when looking at video, we should be able to check mark hopefully as many things as possible to optimize how we fight. And what does that mean, optimize, right? It doesn't mean that if we're already beating our opponent, it's not to say that we can't do it better, right? Sometimes we kill somebody and it's on accident, or sometimes we kill somebody but we lose an arm. Or maybe they just didn't swing back, which was great, but if they did, what could have happened, right? These are all questions that we should ask ourselves while we're reviewing video. So these are just some key points that I want us to look at. So let's go ahead and do that now. So just looking at our opponent's guards, right? Just their starting stances before they fight. We see Rensler here on the left with a somewhat wide stance, not too bad though. Looks like fairly balanced, weight fairly evenly spread, hips under him, which is great. But then look at this, shoulders curling forward, his head right just above his knee and his foot. So what does this mean? That means that his balance point, rather than being here, which is where we want it, is actually a little bit more forward. And that's going to cause him to, one, make heavy steps forward and already be heavy on his front foot. But two, it's bringing his shoulders closer to his opponent, right? So if Dovius here wanted to hit Rensler in the shoulder, he absolutely could. Yeah, and three, he's just kind of compromised, right? So let's go ahead and see what happens. So currently From there, we have Rensler taking, this is where we're going frame by frame, right? I'm hitting that right caret. He takes this very huge step, right? Boom, look at how wide his feet are. If you notice at the very beginning of the video, Rensler's actually a little bit taller than Dovius, right? Maybe it's the angle, maybe they're closer to the same height. But now if we come to here, wherever we were, come on. Sorry guys. So yeah, so if we come to this point, notice the height disparity, right? Dovius here is standing very straight, and we notice that Rensler's shoulder is actually just below Dovius's, right? His shield stayed in the same position, it didn't move anywhere. Especially after taking a step like this, he's very compromised, right? He can't move. He kind of just has to sit here and hope he's going to catch the block. And his opponent didn't have to do too much to take something, right? Now, not to say that his opponent did everything perfect, right? Ideally, whenever our opponent closes in on us and we want to counter it, right, or we want to be defensive, talking about another thing on our list, right, defensive footwork. Dovius here should keep that good posture, keep a good board position, and move his feet laterally back and to the right. Right? This way it cuts off the angles. This high cross would have turned into either a face shot or a shield shot. And then his hand would have been freed up. Maybe he wouldn't get armed here. So, let's see. So, what's it look like? It looks like Rensler gets hit in the torso, moves his shield at the last second, a little too late. Yep, and gets hit. So if we keep going, what are we seeing? We're seeing Dovius having good posture, throwing a shot. This is range control right here, right? Range control, he's keeping his distance. He's making Rensler step on him. And this is very good from Dovius. Right? If we hit play, still good posture. And we're noticing here, Rensler, this is the opposite angle that we were looking at effectively, but his hunching absolutely exposes his shoulders, right? And to be fair, this might be a bait, right? He more than likely knows that this is open, but what that means is that if a sword comes in this direction, he has to respond, right? If there's a fake coming in that direction, he's kind of screwed. So right here, Rensler responds with that cross again. Cross and lean. Oh, wow, look at this. So again, Dovius with the good posture, but no movement. Rensler with the lowering his level, right? Leaning, super heavy. Look at how much weight is on his foot. He's doing this super lunge, right? He's catching this lean, keeping this hole open. Even this, right? So let's see. So there's a Simo there. All good. Now here's another big thing that we should talk about, because this is probably, I would say, how the mentality that we should all be bringing to this is, if I am Rensler and I'm watching this, how could I have hit, right? If you notice, Rensler's footwork goes, sorry, this is supposed to be a straight line, straight to here. He does his lean and starts banging it out. But what is he actually trying to do with his lean, right? His lean is trying to get him to attack from an angle that is like over here, right? I guess footwork-wise, over here, right? That's where his sword is coming from, as if it was normal on this line, right? So what does that mean he should do? That means that he should move laterally, right? He should keep his good posture, keep good shield discipline, but just take a step this way, right? Bring this foot over so that he has a better angle and keeps his defense in front of him. Nice. So, if we keep this going, it's a good posture. Starts sinking himself down, shoulders open. All right, high cross battle. High cross to board side shoulder. All right. So let's keep going. What else do we have? All right, yeah, we still see the same thing. Oh, this is a little better, right? He's keeping his feet. That wasn't as big of a step. It wasn't as big of a lunge. He's still kind of hunching. This is him range controlling. This is good, right? Our opponent got heavy there. That's something we could have exploited. Nice. Okay. This is a great example of a situation where we need defensive footwork. Right? Right here. Rinzler throws his cross, leaves his body open like previously, same as his shoulder. He sinks his hip back, right? His feet are facing a completely different direction. It's like he's fighting someone over here, right? All these are not so good things. But what can I say was good? What's about to happen here? If you notice, Rinzler's going to posture up. His opponent closes in straight, right? Dovius is about to come in straight. And Rinzler's going to hop back and to the right. He's going to take this lateral step here. And that's the reason he's going to hit his opponent in the shoulder. It doesn't have to be a lot, right? Boom, right here. He cuts an angle at the perfect time, right? This is where we're talking about when we talk about timing at a high level. Is this foot was coming off the ground and was coming to here. So Rinzler had all this time to change direction. His opponent couldn't move, right? Boom. Foot lands. Rinzler's already at a better angle and blasted him in the shoulder back to guard. This is a great example of what Rinzler should do, right? Now, if he implements a little bit more posture, right, a little bit less lunging, I think he'd be doing way better. Super aggressive, hitting with the leg, sinking away. All right. I think you'll get the idea. So, this is a little bit at the lower end. I wouldn't say that. That's a lie. That's also kind of rude. I would say this is a good medium level fighting, but there's potential, right? It's not to say that either of them is garbage. They both have very good qualities, but they could implement a couple more things that'll help kind of take their game to the next plane, right? The next level. So let's take a look at two higher level fighters. All right. So this is Ignatius and Karai. So Ignatius here is a fighter that likes to use long-range reaching and sporadic movement to exploit an opponent's guard. And Karai is someone who keeps her shield in good position, her guard in great position, very good shield discipline in general. And for the most part, she keeps her shots fairly tight and effective. And I don't want to say minimal, but if I were to describe it, it's like it doesn't have a lot of fat on it, right? If we're talking about like a steak, this is like a New York strip where there's no fat, but where there might be like a T-bone steak where there's still a little bit of stuff to clean up. Karai has great. It is extremely solid in all regards of her defense and guard and all that. So right here, let's take a look at what's going to happen. So we're looking at Karai. Karai has her feet are fairly close together. She has good posture. She's not leaning a lot at the moment. Neither is Ignatius, but check this out, right? Ignatius is already taking big steps. He's kind of doing his lunge. He's kind of leaning forward, right? Karai is compromising her posture slightly, but not very much. So Ignatius opens with 2 money shots and a huge lean, right? Ideally, I wouldn't recommend anybody do this because this is how you might get hit in the back, right? You're also it's very hard to move from here, right? If Karai were to just run in straight, Ignatius really can't do anything about stopping her. So now he takes a step here. Actually, let's take that a step back. So if we take a look at that a little bit closer, right? Ignatius takes his opener, Karai does nothing. Ignatius takes his second shot, and that's when Karai moves back. Right? This is defensive footwork. She's making space. Now she's not making an angle, I would say, right? Changing the angle would be either switching her feet, so either moving this foot back, or cutting an obvious diagonal, right? Coming this way. But either way, she's doing great. She's keeping Ignatius at a distance where he can't hit her. So now here's the downside, is that Ignatius did another fake, and Karai did not respond with her footwork. Right? She might have very good board discipline. She hasn't moved much, but because she hasn't moved her feet again, I think she's going to get hit in the hip. Yeah. And this is a perfect example of, like, this isn't perfect, right? And no one is, right? Doesn't matter if you're a warlord, sword knight, or your first day out. There's always stuff to work on. And maybe she was tired. Maybe she had a long day. Maybe they just finished a tournament, and maybe she does move her feet more often, and this is just an off day. But if she doesn't realize that this is happening, she can try and incorporate it into her fighting a little bit more. So now let's look at this. So this is Ignatius throwing another low shot, trying another double sword side hip. This is Karai keeping great board discipline and guard, right? She knows where her equipment needs to be, and that's part of fighting, right? Right here we have, again, more leaning, more long openers from a distance. Karai with her tight defense. Ignatius backing up, keeping his distance, making big motions. Okay. Perfect. So let's look at that in full speed, right? Okay. So now what does that look like? This is kind of a little nod to this timing thing that I was talking about earlier. If we use the tools that we have available to us, so we're going to slow this down to quarter speed. And if I want to, I can hit my carrots too, but this I think is going to be good enough for a second. So what is Ignatius doing here? Ignatius is starting shield foot forward from very far away, and he's taking a sword foot forward step past his shield, right? If you notice, Karai here starts moving as well when he does that. Boom, you see? So now the distance that gets closed here is actually twice as much. Now we can go into a little bit more detail in another video because this is kind of an advanced topic, but this time, in which case Ignatius's foot came off the ground, was the most opportune time for this to happen, because now he can't change position, right? His weight is still trying to load onto this front foot. He can't escape. So while he's trying to get his body weight back, Karai is already throwing her shot and hits him in the torso, right? Currently, Ignatius's best option was to either not take a big of a step, right, to not step all the way over here, or if he could have reacted, move sideways, right, to cut a lateral, suffocate the shot, right? In this case, he didn't do either. He tried to take a step back, right, which wouldn't change any angles, and just gets hit, right? Boom, right? Real simple. Now, that is still not to say that Karai is completely perfect here, right? What are some things that she did well? Well, her stance was good. Her posture was good, right? She's leaning forward a little bit, but it's not to say that it's exaggerated, right? Her guard position has been very tight. Her guard discipline, not the best, but that's also part of a dark side, right? Is to compromise your guard a little bit. But let's see about her footwork, right? Her timing was excellent, but her footwork, I think, could have been a little better. So what could she have done? I believe that if she would have taken this back foot and moved it like over, that's not good. Probably about right here, right? So that her hips and torso are just kind of facing this direction, she would have had an even better angle at hitting this hip and arm and back while also defending her arm even more, right? That this board would have been covering her arm a little bit better because it would have been in a different position. And that's a little hard to describe, but yeah. So that's all is to say is there's still things we can do better even if we're winning, right? So now we're gonna go back to normal speed, but we'll go over this a little bit more so that we can identify some stuff, right? Here's another thing, right? This is another example of why defensive footwork is important, right? Right here. Oop. No. Oh, come on. All right. So why did Ignatius get hit here? If you notice, this is similar to the previous situation where he took a step. However, he took a step too close, right? So yes, you can be too far and you can be too close. So what does too close look like? Looks like that, right? Both feet are almost touching each other and they're almost in line, right? What does that mean? That means that not only is he heavy on his heels, right, which means he can't move, but also he's not prepared to attack or defend, right? He's not prepared to move forward, he's not prepared to move backward, and he's heavy, right? Effectively, he's kind of cemented in this position for a split second. And Karai is going to pick up her foot right there, right? In that situation, Karai's already landed, right? And Ignatius is still trying to keep up, right? His foot hasn't touched the ground yet. He hasn't made space. Either way, because he's stepping directly back, the angle for the shoulder doesn't change. So as long as Karai throws this shot mechanically correct, we're good, right? She's going to hit. And what does mechanically correct look like? Check this out. So she's in guard, she throws, she comes to contact. This is a flat wrap. Notice, like all this is correct, right? She comes in from like a handshake position or kind of a little open, and then comes down on that shoulder, palm down, right? Elbow above the shield, hand a little below the shield, but I think she powered through it. And he couldn't do anything about it, right? She took advantage of all these different things to help her hit that shoulder. So now, what are some good things that Ignatius is doing? Let's see. He's doing very good being aggressive, right? Boom, this is a great example of cutting angles, right? Super aggressive on the step. Not a huge fan of the super wide, right? Notice how long it's going to take him to stand back up, right? Boom, he stands up. He throws his fake. Karai still hasn't moved her guard. She gets hit in the leg, but watch this. This is big, right? This right here, this is so huge. Karai has to turn her body if she wants to not get hit here or here, which is automatically going to expose all of this stuff for free, right? Or if she commits to blocking all this is going to open up. So by taking this step, he puts her into a position similar to checkmate. I guess putting her in check is the best way to describe it. And there's not much she could have done about it. But his aggression got him there, right? His reaching got him into his first leg shot, and then his footwork, his lateral footwork got him to his killing blow, right? Let's see. So Karai tried to do the same thing there, but this time Ignatius did do defensive footwork, right? He did move at an angle. He did retreat. They're playing with range. This is part of range control. Again, something similar as to earlier, right? Ignatius had his feet very close together. Karai's already landing. He's moving straight back and hasn't changed an angle for the shoulder. So there's the shoulder. Right? I mean, this right here is just a posture thing, right? if Ignatius's legs weren't so wide, right? Like right now he's all the way here, right? Just like with Rinsler, his torso goes down when his legs go wider. That's why Karai keeps her feet so close together. Very nice. Good communication. She was just saying that her shot wasn't good. This is great shield discipline, but not very good footwork, right? Boom. Right? All this is great, but notice how much movement happened. Karai tightened up her guard, closed off her lanes. Ignatius made an angle. He threw one too many crosses. Got hit in the arm, right? Karai absolutely could have backed up, moved laterally, right? Cut off the angles. But yeah, so this is the gist of it. And I guess the last thing we wanna try and use video for is to the last thing we can use video for is to learn how to throw a shot. Right. So I personally am not a fan of the money shot because it compromises too much of your posture and your guard and opens you up a lot. But let's talk about how we can learn it, right? One of the best money shots in the game, Warlord Sir Brett, right? This is a very old video, back when he was pretty big. But even then, he was throwing it very well, very quickly. And that's something we can learn. Sorry, I'm lagging now. No. Alright. Let's watch a point where Brett lands a money shot. Sorry for the shooting quality. I'll try and bring it up a little bit. Okay. Sorry I didn't have this prepared. What are some things that's happening here that's really good though? Brett's keeping his distance, right? He's forcing Tato to close in on him, which allows him to exploit this footwork. And that's part of what's about to happen here in a second. Okay, perfect. So here's a money shot. Now let's say I want to learn this Brett money shot. We got to learn all the components. So we don't want to change the quality, we want to change the speed. So the speed. All right. So what are some important factors? Right? Brett is sword foot forward here. Brett hinges at the hip, right? Ideally, Brett's still kind of in guard, right? He drops his torso first and then maneuvers his arm, right? Let's watch that slow motion. Yep. Once he puts his torso at the right angle, then he starts cutting in, right? Notice his sword is horizontal here, right? His palm is down. He's not going to hit this hip, it's just going to hit the shield. So he doesn't break until the very end, right? He lowers himself quite a bit, right? What else can we see? We can see that he starts in guard, he's horizontal, flicks his, right? He was palm down over here. Now if we notice his elbow is kind of down, his palm is facing the camera now, which his hand is below Tato's equipment, right? It's part of a wrap. It's hitting here. All these are important factors, but there's something even more important, which is kind of what we're going to highlight here, is the timing. So when did Brett conveniently decide to throw this money shot? Well, if we look here, Tato's about to take a very big step. And look at that. Tato's heel is looks like it's about to hit the ground here, right? And that's when this step from here to here is exactly when Brett decided to throw. And I promise you that 9 out of 10 times, Brett's going to throw this shot exactly with that timing, right? With one of these feet coming off the ground and him full sending it after that, right? Of course, same thing, hinging at the hip, bringing his arm and elbow down, right? His palm down here, and then mechanically flips at the last second, right? All these are absolutely a factor, but the very most important thing is that foot coming up. So by using this video and going frame by frame, we can identify the exact body mechanics and timing of when all these good fighters are throwing their shots, right? Because it's definitely not on accident. I promise you, each one of them is doing all their stuff on purpose, for the most part, right? And that's it. So that's the gist of the video. Sorry it was so long. Oh goodness, it was a half hour. I hope this helps. I hope this makes you think about watching video a different way. I find this extremely useful for trying to help people too. You know, I wasn't in any of these fighting videos, but it's if you're watching this now, I hope that you can tell that, you know, this isn't optimal, right? If we look at, you know, Tato here, his posture has been very straight and strong for almost the entirety of this whole fight, right? This is examples of good habits that we want to be building. So anyway, hope this helps. Feel free to leave any comments with any questions. Oh, actually, I slightly lied. At the very beginning of this video, I said that the only videos we were watching were from Foam Fight Club. I guess we're watching from W_morphc. It's Warlord Sir Morpheus up in Polaris. Super cool guy. And yeah, it also has a bunch of good content. If you're not already just subscribed, I recommend you subscribe. So anyway, I guess we're going back in a circle, but hope this helps. And have a good one. Toodaloo.